you've put all that effort in, you're struggling through pain and exhaustion, and it can be quite overwhelming, all of that, and you don't sell a thing. And I gave up on it.
I'm Martina, and welcome to Women-Inspired Networking Conversations, the podcast. Now, if you're a woman in business who's ever been nervous about networking, felt intimidated about the salesy approach that most networking events have, then this is for you. This podcast is all about real conversations. No fluff, no pressure, just real conversations with other women in business who understand the journey. Welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy. Grab a coffee and let's chat. Welcome back to the podcast. This week, I'm with Wendy from Alchemy Bejeweled. Hi, Wendy.
Hello.
Hey, thank you so much for spending the evening with me. I really appreciate it. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do first, so what your business is, because that might not be overly obvious to everybody. So tell us a little bit about that to start with.
Okay, so my business is Alchemy Bejeweled, and I'm a fine jeweler. And what that means is that I work with precious metals and precious stones, and everything that I do is completely handmade using traditional goldsmithing techniques. Not only do I make things, I also teach. So I have lots of workshops here for up to 4 people. So people come along and come and make whatever they fancy, really. Even hire a bench if you're experienced and use my tools and get a bit of support from me in the process. But my main passion really is the making of the jewellery. I love it. I love sparkly things.
So how have you got to where you are now? What did you used to do? When did you start your business? Talk me through the journey a little bit to how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so I did my degree in art and design when my kids were little, like you do. And so I graduated that in 2000. And I did some jewellery type bits as part of that degree, but it was sort of modular. And from there, I wanted to develop my art and design sort of skills. So I've continued to make jewellery really ever since there, one way or another. And I started doing bits of wire work and working with copper, but gradually progressed. The last few years, though, I had to take retirement from my day job. And that was because, it all kind of fell apart a bit for me in the work of going out to work for an employer in the traditional workplace. So it was at that point really that sort of getting my jewellery stuff going. It gave me a purpose. And if I'm feeling rubbish, well, it doesn't matter. I don't have to do anything. And it's really helped me sort of come back to myself, I suppose, slowly. I know I'll never be fit enough to work full time or anything like that again, but I just love what I do. I found out that I was autistic, suffering from fibromyalgia, amongst other things. And then later, last year, I found out that I've got ADHD as well. So a big list of things that make life a little bit more challenging, or a lot more challenging some days. So doing what I do now, the jewellery is quite therapeutic. It's really something that I can use my hyper focus and really get stuck into doing tiny detailed things, which I find quite satisfying.
That's so important. A lot of people give up their jobs for health reasons. And it does give you that flexibility at the end of the day. Yes, you may not be earning as much, but you will be able to work when you can work and not have the stress of having to go in when you can't. But also you're doing something you love. So kind of it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
So how long have you had your business?
I guess in real terms, about 3 years, actually starting it properly. Before that, it was very much more a hobby that sometimes paid for itself. Mostly not.
As the case may be for most people, I'm thinking.
Yeah, definitely. A very expensive hobby.
We all start businesses thinking, yes, we're going to make loads of money and we're not going to be restricted. But actually, you're brought right back down to reality in, no, you've got to use your own money to fund this and you're not making any money for a good 3 years. So is that how you found it?
To be honest, I'm not sure that I ever thought I was going to make loads of money or anything like that. I think right now it'd be really nice just to break even. But this year has been a massive turnaround. So, I'm tentatively hopeful to go into profit. But it's a long haul. And in a business like this, people think really hard about buying jewellery. People are going to spend hundreds or even some thousands on a piece of jewellery. They're not going to just go to somebody that they've spotted on Facebook. It's a really slow burn. People have to see you lots and lots of time showing up, not just on social media, but having your website, showing up on Google, having all of those reviews. And even then, there's lots of word of mouth as well. And I found getting out and getting seen at things like the Burnt House Vineyard locally has had some fairs. So last Christmas, and then there was a spring fair in May. And those have been brilliant because I'd totally given up on doing fairs of any sort because they just weren't working for me. And I'd really got demoralised by it, I suppose, because you turn up, you put all the work in, you take all your stuff, and it's not the right place for you. And what that means is then you've put all that effort in, you're struggling through pain and exhaustion, and it can be quite overwhelming, lots of people and that sort of thing as well. So all of that, and you don't sell a thing. And I gave up on it, and I was sort of trying to focus on selling stuff online, but I really want to be working with local people face to face, making things that they want to buy. So the Burnt House Vineyards came up, did that, and all of a sudden I'm starting to pick up more people. Lots of them have been seeing me for a long, long time, and then they see me in person with the jewellery and they've been able to buy on the spot. And also they've taken flyers away, they've booked workshops, and it's really picked up from that. And Google, really, we've put a lot of work in on Google recently, and I think that's been one of my biggest things as well. People spot you on social media, they know you're there and they see you and what you do, but that's not great for selling from my perspective, but they keep seeing you. Do you know what I mean? And then show up in person, and they really are starting to get to grips with me. So yeah, it's probably like the last 3 years, but the last 6 months or so have been phenomenally different.
I think you've actually hit the nail on the head there. Experts say you have to have X amount of touch points. I think, what is it, like 30? It might even be 50 now, I don't know, of places where people have to have seen you. Social media, in person, Google My Business, flyers, posters, events. And I actually think that although you feel like all the events didn't work for you previously, which they probably didn't on the day, but actually all of those things combined led to when that person has seen you X amount of times, they're then ready to buy. And it's because of all your effort that you've put in for the last however many years as to why the penny's dropped, everything's clicked, and now you're starting to see momentum. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And the wedding stuff has really started happening this year, and that's been brilliant for me. I had quite a good summer of making lots of lovely wedding rings for some gorgeous couples. So I'm hoping that come September time, when they all tie the knot, I'm going to have some lovely photographs and stuff to share on my socials.
So you said about 6 months ago, this sort of changed for you and you started to see some kind of momentum. What do you think changed 6 months ago?
I think it's a combination. I think it's around the showing up. So like the Christmas fair that I did, and then the May one, I think that's been really helpful, but also done the work on the social media, and we've focused really hard on that. And Danielle is a brilliant assistant, and she's just put so much into it, and it's improved dramatically since she's worked with me. But now we've been working together on sort of the Google side of things, which has really helped getting the flyers out there and just being more visible, I suppose. And I'll see things now on social media where somebody will say, I think there's a lady on Poplar Hill in Stowmarket that does jewellery. Does anybody have her contact? And the ladies pop round to see me and I'm repairing her bracelet, or there's a chap pop round to see me because his ring has worn out. And through the networking groups as well. A lady contacted me recently and she wanted some old jewellery of her mum's melted down and the diamonds reused into a really gorgeous ring. She really wanted something that was special to her using her mum's diamonds, but the pendant that she'd got really wasn't doing it for her. So made her a new ring. And it's really good quality work, really fabulous customers coming in. And it's so good to be involved in people's special occasions as well.
I just love that. So Danielle, you've briefly touched on, is your assistant. She's been on the podcast before. She does in-person assistant. So we won't call her a VA. How did you meet her?
So I kind of met her through your networking. I contacted the networking group to see if anybody was able to help. I think we're quite a good match for working together. We get on very well, but she's also very understanding of my quirks, shall we say. You know, there are some things that I do find incredibly difficult, and the social media admin, I just don't cope with anymore. So Danielle helps me with all of that, but she turns up and she encourages. She's supportive. I actually was exhibiting in London in the Jewellery Quarter, Hatton Garden. And it was amazing. She even came with me to that and came to the opening night. So she's been such a brilliant, brilliant support for me. Always cheerful and stuff. And yeah, we met because of the networking.
Well, that just brings joy to my heart. I remember when we first met, you came to my networking when I used to work for the other company. And I know in my heart of hearts, that was really overwhelming for you because there was a lot of people there. Normally that group used to have about 5 or 6 people there. And I think I probably said to you, there's only 5 or 6 people. It's fine. Like, come along. And you were like, yeah, okay, I'll come with you. And then I turned up and there was like 20 people. And I was like, oh, no. So it was only slightly overwhelming, but you network a lot more through the Facebook group as opposed to the in-person events. But it's so wonderful to see that you actually get just as much out of that through just being an active part of the Facebook group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so when it comes to networking, that's obviously been a really big part of the acceleration in your business. What would you say to someone who is kind of on the fence of coming to networking, whether it's in person or online or just simply through the Facebook group? What would be your advice to them?
Do it. Just do it, because it is scary and I hate walking into these things. And I get a bit of a panic. And I will say the first one I went to, not yours, it was actually somebody else's group in Ipswich, was actually held in a venue that I should never have gone to because it held a bit of history for me. It meant that I was even more on edge than previously. So the first one I went to, I was really badly on edge, not just because of the group, but because of the location. I've not since gone back to that location, but I did meet some really lovely people, and all of the people in the networking groups that I've met have been absolutely wonderful, really supportive and friendly. So even if I'm feeling absolutely terrified, it probably shows all over my face. But people have been really welcoming. And obviously I've been to your groups a couple of times, I think. Need to go more, but I'm really not good at mornings. So I'm hoping that there's going to be an evening one. But, you know, for anybody who's sort of listening and thinking, well, I don't know, just try it. You know, everybody is so, so nice. Go with a friend. You don't have to go on your own. Just do it.
So, good news. We are hoping that evenings are coming soon, but we do also run an online evening event. So that might be an option if you want to do evenings and also stay at home. Best of both worlds. Okay, so we all know in business, it takes a really long time to get that momentum. I know myself personally, I could probably count on all hands, all toes, how many times I said I was going to give up because it's hard. You're putting all this effort in, like you said about your fairs, you're putting all the effort in, you're making all your stuff, you're putting yourself out there, you're getting outside your comfort zone and nothing for a really, really, really long time. But unfortunately, the only thing that actually makes a difference is doing all the stuff while you're getting nothing back, because one day it's going to flip and you're going to be doing hardly anything and you're going to be getting loads back. And we all know that's how it kind of works. And that's definitely how it worked for you.
Yeah.
So have you got any advice for people on that side of it, like on the business side, just to keep people going?
Yeah, I think it really is a matter of just showing up and keep showing up and get people to give you reviews, ask for advice and be sort of open-minded about it as well. I think from doing the fairs, what that taught me is you've got to put yourself in the right place. So some sort of craft fair things are aimed more at handicraft levels and all very lovely. And what I do doesn't really fit in with that because it's a different skill set. There is no good me taking my jewellery to somewhere where people are making knitted things and the smaller things and the more budget type products. They're all really lovely, but I just don't fit there. And the customers who go there are looking to spend £5 and £10 and I don't fit there. Whereas going to the vineyard, those are the customers that have the different sort of budget. So you've got to find your ideal customer base and stick with that and just keep putting yourself out there and keep on doing it and keep on doing it. And the longer it takes, the more satisfying, I guess, it is when you finally break through.
Okay, well, thank you so much for speaking to me. It's been wonderful to get an insight on your journey, and I just think you've done absolutely amazing. Do you remember that one day that I came to see you at the workshop years and years and years ago? And
Changed so much now, yeah.
I'll have to come again and see it because you've just propelled so much, and I'm just so grateful that networking could have just a little part to play in that for you to help you.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, Martina. Bye.
Thank you so much for being here and listening with us today. If you're loving the podcast and want to find out more about our Women Inspired Network events, then find out more on www.womeninspirednetwork.com/events. Or you can connect with us on Facebook under Women Inspired Network, or follow along on Instagram under women_inspired_network. And of course, subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss an episode. I'll see you next week for another honest conversation.